My name is SIKU. For as long as I could remember, or I can remember, I always wanted to be an artist. So ever since I've been growing up as a child, I've always lived in a different place from everybody else, daydreaming. I spent a heck of a lot of time daydreaming. Well, it's because I would rather be at the back of the class drawing stuff, just imagining things that don't exist. And so I've grown up like that, to the disapproval of my parents. Eventually, my father made me drop art. It was the last art subject I did. He made me drop it. My art teacher was dismayed. He said, "Take it up and don't tell your dad." He saved my life. Mr. Aina saved my life, because I did take up art again in secret. At the end of the year, I showed my father my report card. Of course, art is there. I think that's when he gave up on me. I tend to think that an artist should be communicating with its public. And I think if you can't communicate with your public, you are useless. It's like salt that doesn't have flavor. That's how I see it. Now, it's one of the reasons why I do the kind of art I do. You know, I do graphic novels. I love doing fantasy, science fiction. And for a long time, comic books is virtually the last spectrum of the arts that's now being regarded as a form of art. And before we got there, you know, we have film, we have pop music, and finally we now have graphic novel now being acknowledged as a form of art. And one of the reasons why I do graphic novels is because it's so groundbreaking, and it has a way of communicating ideas that you don't see anywhere else. It combines all sorts of disciplines in one spot. You know, it's story pacing, you know, it's narrative design, it's story writing, character development, character design. Then you have the craftsmanship bits of it. So I love all that, the energy that you have to deposit into a page. And I love how that discipline is transferable. You can transfer it to advertising, you can transfer it to filmmaking, you can transfer it to music. It's transferable. So I like that. And in a niche, that's what I do, and that's why I do what I do. So I can communicate to people. In the 80s, late 80s, manga began to infiltrate our culture. I was working for 2000 AD doing Judge Dredd at that time, things like that. And I remember thinking, oh, this is really catching on. The difference between manga and Western art is huge, it's massive on a philosophical, fundamental level. The first thing that struck you was the cinematography of it. Manga reads like you're watching a film. When you look at Japanese art, for me, the first anime, not TV anime, but the first movie anime I ever watched was Ghost in the Shell. It was revealing. It showed the people who were on an existential precipice. Only a people who are on an existential precipice are capable of making a film like that. When you watch Ghost in the Shell, it's dilemma from beginning to end. In fact, watch any serious anime, it's full of dilemma. It's about destruction. After destruction, what next? There's never really a utopia. There's always a doubt about what can come after the fires burn everything up. Fire burns everything up, but then life comes after the fire has burned everything up. For me, along with, I mentioned this to you, Grave of the Fireflies, Ghost in the Shell is one of my top 10 films. Manga is the elusive dream. This is how I understand manga. So when you guys came to me, it was a continuation of my journey. That was God sent for me. That was God saying, okay, it's time for you now to go to the next level. And when you guys came to me, I had just done Drink It. And in Drink It, I'd made a presentation of manga that no one has seen in the West before. I've given lectures that shocked people. I've shown films about manga and showing them how manga correlates with Jewish apocalypse. In fact, I argued it's the same thing. I said, if you want to understand Jewish apocalypse, go and watch a manga movie. you watch a manga movie, you understand Jewish apocalypse without even reading it. I wish I knew him personally, although I know him from reading what I'm reading, but then I wish I met him personally. Soseki is a postmodern man before postmodernity. In fact, he's a postmodern man at the inception of modernity. Modernity only starts in the early 1900s. In fact, I would go as far as to say it was 1901. This is where modern art is created, and I would say this is the beginning of modernity. And so Soseki is right there at the beginning. He embraces modernity. He just skips it. He just says, oh, let's go to the end. It was at this point that you begin to think of this guy as a genius. The cultural aspects of Soseki, and this is where my affinities go on a personal level. A man at odds with his culture, at odds with the West and with the East, uncomfortable in neither position. And I found myself in this ever since I was a child. Never comfortable with my African roots, not comfortable with my British roots, Western roots. And because I'm not comfortable in either, I create a critical distance between myself and the two cultures. I identify with him because I feel what he feels. I feel his uneasiness, his nonchalance, his distance, that distance he has. I'm not just reading it and understanding it, I can feel it also. That critical distance means he's explosive with his creativity. It's boundless. One of the reasons why people are not creative is because they're bound. They're bound by their environment. They're bound by the limitations others and themselves place on themselves. Unconsciously, consciously, it doesn't matter. People like Soseki, Augustine, Leonardo da Vinci, people that are not bound by the same constraints other people have, because they're able, to a limited or larger degree, to escape their confines. Value has timeless properties. Great vision always looks like great vision, no matter what time you are in. A great mind is a great mind, no matter what time you're in. The limits that culture places on us, groupthink, that herd mentality, or everyone is running in that direction, let's all run in that direction, has always limited creative thinking and solutions development. It's always limited it. It will always do. There will never be a time when it will be great to do groupthink. It will never. And those who go against the flow, against the grain, who try to think against it, it's very difficult to do, to try and identify your blind side and find it. Very hard. But those who try to do that will be the ones who will always solve problems. That's not limited to culture or time. It will always be. And I hope that comes through when people read this. That our desire to, at all costs, hang on to our culture, our beliefs without challenging it is destructive. We need to perpetually challenge our beliefs, challenge our culture, challenge our frame of mind, our way of thinking, frame of references, the things that we all agree on, orthodoxy, timelessly, constantly challenge it. That's what I hope that comes through in what I've done.